Thank you very much. Good evening, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters. I think the moment we've arrived at now is seeing serious political will and leadership by the political leadership in Indonesia. And I'd like to start by thanking Papa Kontoro as well as all our Indonesian leadership that is here for what they've given to the world. Now, in June, we had the opportunity to meet Greenpeace Indonesia with President SBY. And, you know, Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world, and it's not very often that people from the NGO sector are invited to meet such an important president. And we were quite nervous. In fact, we were so nervous that, as you know, people who know me, I never wear a suit. And when I arrived in Indonesia, my colleague said, somebody in our office got married 2 weeks ago, and his suit is actually about your size. You will wear the suit to go meet the president. And then shortly after that, they took me downstairs in the hotel, and they took off my beard, mustache, everything, gave me a tie, and we went marching to this meeting, and we were really scared and nervous. We walked into the meeting with President SBY, together with 4 of his senior ministers, and the first thing he said, as far as the Indonesian government is concerned, Greenpeace and the government's agenda on climate change, on protecting the forests, we are in the same boat, sailing in the same direction. And I believe that, based on the presentation and the work that is being done, is absolutely true. One of the misconceptions that I think people have is that Greenpeace and other NGOs are against development. My own background is in the fight against poverty as an African, where on our continent we see the ravages of poverty. To say that we have to put development and environment in contradiction to each other is old, stale, archaic thinking, because we know that it's the poor that suffer most when there is environmental degradation. Importantly also, we do not have an opposition, for example, to palm oil and the palm oil industry. We are opposed to the unsustainable development of palm oil. Even in Indonesia, we have found companies who agree with us that in fact there's enough already degraded forests that can still maintain a healthy palm oil industry, which is good for development but does not need to erode any further forests that, as our Norwegian minister said, once you take down a tree, you've lost an asset and you've lost value. Now, you know, I have a very big title at Greenpeace called Executive Director Greenpeace International, but actually I have a lot of bosses that tell me what to say, when to say. So I have 3 bullet points from our colleagues in Indonesia, and I will just read that out to you in terms of our message to Papa Kontoro and to this meeting. First, we very strongly call on the Indonesian government to extend and strengthen this very important moratorium that's in place so that it allows the important work that has been described enough time to consolidate and have the impact that it needs to have. We also want to extend a hand of friendship to those companies that are actually engaged in activities that constitute forest destruction. You might find this a rather strange thing to say. We have campaigned against companies that have been driving deforestation in Indonesia, but always saying we are happy to work constructively with them to help them develop strategies to move forward. And I'm very happy to say that GAR, Golden Agri Resources, is one such company within the Cinemas Group that we are working very constructively with. And so I say here to Asian Pulp and Paper, to the Cinemas Group as a whole, to all companies in Indonesia, we are happy to work with you to ensure that you are able to develop your businesses sustainably without harming the Indonesian forests and without harming, in a sense, our children and grandchildren's future. The last point to conclude with is this. Climate change is the biggest challenge that humanity has faced. However, as our Chinese brothers and sisters say, there is a character for crisis, Wai Chi, which is also the same character for opportunity. And I strongly believe we can turn climate change into an opportunity, because if we move in the direction of clean, green, renewable energy, we not only prevent emissions and prevent catastrophic climate change, but evidence and multiple studies show we can generate significantly more decent green jobs that are sustainable, that give people dignity, development, but doesn't have to harm the forests. So I think what we've seen here today is an expression of a second opportunity. And that is, for far too long, we have lived in a world of division. Rich and poor, east and west, north and south, developed and developing. Climate change is a wake-up call for us. We either get it right as rich and poor countries acting together to avert catastrophic climate change, and we secure the lives of all our children and grandchildren, or if we get it wrong, yes, poor countries are the ones that are suffering most, but as Hurricane Sandy showed, that rich countries are not immune. So the opportunity here of changing the way the world works is great, and what we've seen in the partnership between Norway and Indonesia is two countries far apart in geography coming together in human solidarity and saying, we are in this together. So we thank the Norwegian government. We encourage them to even be more generous than they've been. I'm sure they have some more money in the sovereign fund to not only help Indonesia, but to help the Congo Basin forest, which is also a very important forest to actually defend. And I'd like to ask you to celebrate this partnership as the kind of partnerships that we need to secure this planet for our children and their children, because that's what the struggle to avert catastrophic climate change is about. Thank you very much.